Happy Sunday. So James had a great question last night. I had some videos in my back office, but as I was going through them, I was like, you know what? I can do better on explaining how to write a good headline that will get your audience's attention. Whether you are utilizing Facebook videos, whether you are utilizing photos, there's only 2 sentences really that you need. And a little backstory about how I got so good at writing headlines was working in the TV business, right? I first started off as a news promotions producer. And so basically what my job was for many years was getting people to watch the news, right? I was the one that did those commercials, next at 11, CBS goes inside the governor's mansion, and what we found in his refrigerator could kill you. That was me. I did that for several years for several different networks. And one of the hardest parts that I ever had to go through all of my training for so many years was writing good headlines, right? What are people going to not only click on? What is going to be the 2 sentences that, because a lot of times, especially in news promos, I only had 10 seconds per story to get people to decide whether or not they were going to watch the newscast. And so I take the principles of all of the tactics that I learned working in writing news headlines and translated them over into social media, right? Because basically social media is television. It's reality television every single day. And so the same tactics that I used in television, I'm able to bring over here on my side and teach you guys how to use those same tactics. Now, it took me several years to perfect this, but I'm going to break it down into 2 easy sentences that the only thing that you need to know about writing good headlines for your Facebook posts. Now, we're talking about Facebook posts, right? If you're writing headlines for landing pages, sometimes you don't have this much room. If you're writing a headline for a web story, sometimes you don't have this much room. So I'm going to break it down 2 sentences, okay? And it is broken down into a headline and a promise. Now, whenever I worked in television, my whole strategy to writing good headlines was starting with the promise. What am I promising the viewers that we are going to show them in the newscast? And so the way that I actually titled this video is exactly the same strategy that I want you guys to use when you're naming your videos, right? It's comprised of 2 parts. Again, the headline and the promise. Let's start with the headline. It's something that is going to get their attention. Is it a problem that you can solve for them, right? Are you going to identify a problem? Are you going to identify a struggle? Or sometimes you have to identify a problem that they didn't know that they had before, like stuff that they don't know that they need. And I'm gonna use James's example of a video that he posted yesterday as an example in a little bit. But first, let's go over this really, really quick. So the way that I titled this video, struggling to write good headlines, right? That was the headline I used to get your attention because a lot of people have been struggling to write good headlines, right? So I got your attention. And then the promise that I made that you were going to get out of this video, always, always, always have a promise. What is the result that people are going to learn? What is the result that people are going to get out of watching your video? The only 2 sentences you need to get your audience's attention. You see how I identified the problem, and then I offered a solution in the video title, because a lot of times people are putting videos out here on Facebook and you don't know what you're going to click on by watching the video. And so people don't want to dedicate their time to watch a video if they don't know what the outcome is going to be. So utilize these 2 things. Identify their struggle in a little headline in 4 to 5 words tops, and then present them with a promise. Those are the only 2 sentences that you need when we're talking about Facebook headlines for your videos, for your content. But if you are stuck, like let's say you're trying to title a YouTube video or you're trying to title a web article, always go with the promise, okay? One thing that you will notice is that I like tangible numbers into my promises. The only 2 sentences you need, because I could have just named it, how to write headlines that'll get your audience's attention. But here's the thing, people are very psychological. Numbers play a big part in whether or not they are going to consume your content. BuzzFeed, there's a reason that there's all of their headlines are like 3 ways to do this, 4 tactics, the 4 best videos. There's people are very psychological when it comes to using numbers, okay? So when you're writing your promise, again, your headline is going to be comprised of two things. Get their attention with a mini headline, and then present them with a solution to that problem, okay? So, number one, struggling to write good headlines. The only two sentences you need to get your audience's attention. I presented them with a promise, right? How many times do you see videos on Facebook? Raise your hand. How many times do you see videos on Facebook where you don't know what the person is going to present in that video? You know, so many people are going live with no purpose. They're not letting their audiences know the promise that they're going to get out of the video. People they're thumbing, you know, like you have to have some thumb stopping headline, right? We talked about this, like not only a thumb stopping headline, but a thumb stopping, thumbnail. Sorry, it's still early here. I've got my big old giant cup of coffee this morning, but I was seeing some of the videos that you guys are doing. Freaking fantastic. I am so excited to see so many videos on my timeline. So James asked a really good question last night, now that I've got more of an audience right now, how to write good headlines for, his Facebook videos. I'm going to use his example because he posted a video yesterday, and I'm just going to critique it just a little bit on what he could have done to make it better, because inside the video, he had really, really good content. I see so many videos on Facebook that have really, really good content, but I took a chance, right? Because I know the person, and so I was like, okay, this person's gonna have good content in this video. But for people who don't know you, for people who are not used to getting those value bombs in your video, they're gonna be like, I don't know, this video is like 10 minutes long and I don't know exactly what I'm gonna get out of it. And so this is my formula that, again, that goes back to me writing news headlines back in television for many, many years to perfect this strategy. I literally just use that same formula that I got for people to watch boring ass news stories. It's the same type of headlines that, I wrote whenever I worked at The List, and it's all psychological, Identify one of their problems, and remember, this is the thing. Sometimes people don't know that they need your product or service, right? And I'm going to show you guys a good example of that in just a little bit, because James's video from yesterday is a perfect example of how sometimes people don't know that they need your product or service, okay? But always hit them in that mini headline with something that they're struggling with, or something that's going to get their attention. A lot of times, especially when I worked in news, I always start with the promise first. Like, what is going to be the outcome of this video? What can I promise that people are going to, walk away from this video knowing? Like, for instance, today, the only two sentences you need to get your audience's attention. And again, I like to use tangible numbers. I like to use tangible numbers if it's like 2 ways. I like using tangible if it's time related. How to write the perfect headline in less than 10 minutes. It's something like that. There's so many different ways that I could have written my headline, but at the end of the day, it's still solving the same problem, right? And so I would always invite you guys to use something tangible in your headlines. What is going to make, your audience think, oh, wow, this person has a quick and easy solution to a problem that I have, right? So many of you guys were struggling to write good headlines. And so my promise, the only 2 sentences you need to get your audience's attention, right? It made it seem easy because I was like, hey, there's only 2 sentences you need. That's it. I could have also said how to write the perfect headline in less than 10 minutes, right? It's tangible. Oh, I could figure this out. How to write the perfect headline in less than 2 minutes, It's just something that makes your headlines stand out so much better, is when they're tangible. Now, let's go to James's video yesterday. How many of you guys saw James's video? He posted it. It was really good. It was titled, "What to Do to Save Yourself or a Loved One from a Tech Scam." I think I got that right. What to do? Yeah, he titled it, "What to Do to Save Yourself or a Loved One from a Tech Scam." Now, this is a really good headline. It's not that he did anything bad, obviously, but this is how he could have made it a little bit better. Because how many of you guys think that you know how to avoid becoming victim to a tech scam? Raise of hands, right? If people would see this headline, "What to Do to Save Yourself or a Loved One from a Tech Scam," this is where the problem comes into. identify a problem that people might not necessarily know that they have, right? If I saw this headline, I would be like, well, don't be a dumbass, you know? Like, yeah, Kareen, exactly, you're in the tech world. So one thing that he could have done to make this better, because even people who aren't in the tech world or think that they're tech savvy, tech scams are nothing new, right? He could have got my attention though. What to do to save yourself or a loved one from a tech scam. One thing, exactly, what is a tech scam? Is there a new scam that's going on? You know, like he could have prefaced this with, hey guys, there's a new tech scam going on in the last 2 weeks, or something like that. Like meet my objective, because my objective is, I've heard this story before. This is nothing new. That's kind of a tactic that, you know, I learned by working in news, right? Because there's always a new burglary. There's always a new scam out there. There's always something new. And so when you're writing your your headline, make sure that it's clear that, hey, this is a new scam you've never heard about, or hey, did you know that, you know, there's a new scam being put on by 15-year-olds that are scamming older people. I don't know, but something that, you know, will make people go, huh, wait, maybe I don't know about this new tech scam. Okay, that would have been the one thing that I think he could have done different. What to do to save yourself or a loved one from a tech scam. It's so broad. And so that would have been the one thing that I would have changed. I would have written a better attention-grabbing headline. And then instead of saying what to do to save yourself or loved one from a tech scam, I would have said, hey, here are the 3 things to look for when, you know, with this new tech scam, or something like that, what to look for. Because so many people don't know what to look for, especially if it's a new scam. Exactly, tech scams can be perpetrated on tech-savvy people as well. That is a very good point, Kareen. And so there are different ways that he could have gone about this. But like I said, this is not a bad headline. I just think that he failed to identify, you know, a certain problem, because there are so many tech scams. You have to be very, very specific on, you know, what is new. What type of information is new that you're going to give people that people might not necessarily know? Your target audience, is he talking to because he's talking to businesses, you know, and he's trying to sell his IT services to businesses. And so I think he could have structured this into, you know, a more business oriented headline to where, hey, business owners, did you know that there's a 15-year-old, you know, that's, I don't know, I'm writing this on the top of my head. So let's say, you know, hey, business owners, did you know there's a 15-year-old that designed this new bug that is, you know, screwing up your entire system? You know, something like that which would have been like, I don't know the whole backstory about, you know, the scam or anything, but just like make people go, huh, you know, and then the 3 things that you need to look for in order to avoid, you know, getting, you know, ripped off or whatever. So there we have it. There's just nothing like writing headlines. Just think of it this way. Step 1, get their attention, you know, struggling to write a good headline, you know, struggling to lose that last 10 pounds, you know, having trouble getting leads from Instagram. There's so many, what is an identify your struggle. But like I said, what I like to do first is I like to create the promise. What are people going to get out of the video? You know, what are people going to, like, you guys are now going to leave this video knowing the only 2 sentences you need to get your audience's attention. Okay? All this making sense? I'll be happy to throw out some more headlines, some more examples if any of you guys need extra help. Was this helpful? I think this video, I'm probably going to replace my other one with this one, because I think this one goes into a little bit more depth. And so that's why I love whenever you guys ask questions, because it makes my older videos better. So thank you guys for that. You guys have a happy Sunday. I'm about to go hit the gym. Got my gym hair, don't care, going on this morning. But anyways, if you guys have any questions about writing headlines, about anything, you guys know where to reach me. And I will see you guys on Voxer. You guys have an awesome Sunday.